Well, it finally happened. Apple just officially announced that quitting apps in the multitasking screen doesn't save battery at all. So what's the average user supposed to do to get a little more oomph out of their iPhone battery? My name's Dylan Stewart. They call me the MacWhisperer. And in today's video, I'm going to teach you how to make your iPhone battery last all day long and then some. Ever since Apple announced multitasking functionality on iOS 4, that's back in 2010, people have had this misconception that quitting apps saves you battery life. It's never been true, but there are a lot of tips that can save you battery life. In today's video, I'm going to drop my 10 power tips that will help you save your battery and make your iPhone last all day long. If you stick around until the end of the video, I will drop my MacWhisperer power tip that ensures that you never run out of battery. So let's hop on in and get started. Tip number 1 is called low power mode. Low power mode is a functionality that's built into the iPhone. It reduces some network functionality that can save you battery and changes a couple of other settings. Just by turning low power mode on, your battery will last about 30% more. And it doesn't really do anything that you're going to miss out on. It slows down how quickly it checks for emails, it turns your auto brightness off, and it makes sure that your phone locks after 30 seconds. But it's really easy to use and really easy to turn on. Simply hop into your settings section here and scroll all the way down to your battery section here. Inside the battery section, you'll see the ability to turn on low power mode right here. When you turn on low power mode, you should notice that the battery in the upper right-hand corner turns orange. This is so that at a glance, you know when you're turned on to low power mode. You can also turn it off here. But it's such a helpful tool that I think it needs to be even easier to access than that. So what I want you to do is swipe backwards and come into your control center here. From your control center, I want you to scroll down to the bottom and find low power mode right here and click the green plus button to add it to your control panel. Now, anytime you access your control panel from the upper right corner of your screen like this, you'll see the low power mode battery right there and you can instantly turn it on or turn it off. Super simple to use and super effective to stretch out your battery life. Tip number 2 is changing your auto lock duration. When you turn on your phone or open and awaken it, it stays open for a certain amount of time. Some people have set this amount of time to forever, which means that if you don't consciously remember to press your side button to put your phone into sleep mode, it will stay awake and stay open all the time, draining your battery when you're not even using it. When you turn on low power mode, it turns your auto lock to 30 seconds. So Apple must know something about how much your auto lock affects your battery life. To change it manually, come into your settings section here and go right down to where it says display and brightness. In display and brightness, you're going to see your auto lock setting. Oh, wait a second, mine's set to never. That's going to wear my battery down. I'm going to come and click on it. I generally recommend people leave it turned on to about 2 minutes. This means if you're not using your phone for 2 minutes, it'll lock itself. But if you want the maximum amount of battery usage, do what Apple does. Turn it to 30 seconds so that if you're not using it for any period of time at all, it'll turn itself off, which makes it simple and easy. For me, I'm going to leave it on 2 minutes. Tip number 3 is screen brightness. The brightness level of your screen dramatically affects how much battery usage your iPhone is going to burn through. You can change it by jumping into your control panel, pulling down from the upper right corner like this, and adjust it right here. But that doesn't permanently adjust it. In fact, there's a setting called auto brightness that automatically adjusts your display brightness without you even touching it. So the first thing you need to do is come into the settings section here and come back into our display and brightness section. From here, you're going to turn off True Tone, which can adjust your brightness, and you're going to adjust your brightness to whatever you prefer. The less bright you have it, the less battery it's going to use. But before we walk away from this setting, we have to change one other thing. Click your back arrow and scroll down to accessibility here, and then come into display and text size right up here. Down at the bottom of this screen, you'll see the auto brightness function, and you're going to want to remember to turn that off so that it doesn't turn your brightness up without you wanting it to. Tip number 4 is called background app refresh. Whenever you're using your phone, as you use various apps, you're going to find that they get into your multitasking screen here. This is what's caused people to believe that you need to quit these apps every time you open them up, but that's not really true. However, even though apps in this screen are mostly in hibernation mode, they do use a little bit of power and a little bit of data with something called background app refresh. And what background app refresh means is that even when the app is not on the front screen, it can still connect to the internet, update data, and use up a little bit of battery. Now, most apps don't require this. Let's think for a second about using Facebook. When I'm not on Facebook, do I need it to update in the background? I mean, if it's sitting back here, do I really care if it's current and up to date? I really don't. So what we want to do to make sure that none of the apps that are in our multitasking screen are using more battery than we want them to, we're going to adjust the background app refresh settings manually. Start by coming into the settings section here, and then scroll down to General. And from General, you're going to go right into where it says Background App Refresh. Now, some people may turn background app refresh off entirely or turn it on so it's only on Wi-Fi mode, which is fine, but there are some apps that you need to have running and updating in the background. For example, I've got a smart lock that unlocks when I get home. If I quit that app when I get home, it's not going to unlock for me. And another example is maps. There are times where I'm using GPS to get somewhere, but I'm on another screen. Maybe I'm talking to somebody. I need those GPS apps to still be able to check the internet and let me know if there's an accident or when I need to get off at the next exit. So I don't want to just turn off all background app refresh, but I really want to ask myself what needs background app refresh on. For example, here I've got Alaska Airlines. I don't have any planned flights with Alaska Airlines anytime in the near future, so I can easily turn that off. Now, this account access up here is an authenticator app, and I need to leave that on. But if I scroll down a little bit further here, we're going to find Broadway in Hollywood. Why in the world would I need that running in the background? I can turn that off, and I can turn Canva off, and I can even turn CapCut off. As you can see from my screen, most of my apps are turned off. So take a few minutes and run through your background app refresh setting and turn off any app that you don't need running when you're not actively using it. Tip number 5 is notifications. One of the biggest villains of battery life is notifications. What's a notification, you asked? Well, a notification is when a text message pops up on your screen, or the phone lights up because somebody's calling you, or there's a new news update and CNN wants to pop it right in front of your screen. Every time something's being delivered directly to your phone and lighting up your screen, it wears your battery down. So you want to manage how many things notify you. And there's a couple of really easy ways to do that. The first one, by pulling down your control panel from the upper right-hand corner like this, you can turn on Do Not Disturb mode. Do Not Disturb mode means that nothing will notify you. Any phone calls that come in will go straight to voicemail. Any text messages will get delivered, but they won't light up your phone and they won't light up your screen. It's not always practical to leave things on focus mode or Do Not Disturb mode, but if you don't need your phone in that moment, if you're not expecting a phone call and you need to focus and make that battery last, turning on Do Not Disturb will definitely stretch that battery out quite a bit. But it's not the only thing that we can do to help with the notifications that we get on a regular basis. The next thing we're going to do is go into our settings section here and scroll down until we see notifications. Now, there's a thing called the notification summary that I love. I'm going to turn it on right here. It's where it says Scheduled Summary. And when you turn on the notification summary, you can choose 2 or more times during the day when you'd like certain notifications delivered. And then you can come in and you can tell any app that it should just show up in this notification summary. So if there's something you don't need all the time, like I don't need to know Stripe all the time, and I generally don't need to know Facebook updates all the time, it will just automatically go into this notification summary that I've scheduled to receive at 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., which means that at those 2 times of day, I get one notification that summarizes all the notifications from any apps that I don't need an immediate notification from. That's the next part of notifications, but there's still one more thing that you need to do to make sure you're not accidentally wasting a lot of battery on notifications you don't care about. From the notification screen right here, you're going to scroll down, and as you look at the separate apps that are on, ask yourself, do I need to be notified by this app? As I look down here, I've got a game called 2048 that has immediate notification on. That's not necessary. I don't care what's going on in that game. So you can easily come into that app and just turn notifications off in its entirety. The same is true for Airbnb. I don't need those notifications at all. How about Alaska? Not unless I'm on an Alaska Airlines flight later this week. And I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. As you scroll through these, you're going to find that the vast majority of apps don't really need to give you notifications. But when somebody installs a new app or starts it up and it says, "Can we notify you?" most people say yes. Once you've gone through this list and turned the majority of things off, you'll say no the next time an app asks you for the ability to notify you. Not all apps need to notify me. Things like calendar, reminders, notes, texts, those things do. But how often do I need to be notified by Capital One? How often do I need to be notified by Coinbase? You choose which apps you want to have notify you, which apps you want to have notify you in the notification summary, and which ones you just want to turn off. Just like that. Tip number 6 is your location settings. When you have location settings turned on for various apps, those apps can turn on GPS at any given time, and GPS takes up a ton of battery. It's easy to control that by going back into our settings section here and scrolling down until you see privacy and security. In the privacy and security section, you can click on location services here. Now again, I don't recommend globally turning location services off, or you won't be able to use Waze or Maps or any services that do need your location. What I'd rather you do is come down through here and find out which ones you actually need at all. There's that darn Alaska app again. I'm going to turn that off or turn it on to ask next time. That way it's off until I next use it. By coming through the location settings here, you can easily change things that just don't matter. Do I need the Apple Store to know where I am? No, I really don't, so I can easily turn that off. In addition to that, be aware that there is something called precise location. And precise location uses a little more battery and actually identifies you to like a 5-foot radius. If you don't need precise location for something, in other words, you need it to know where you are but not to the exact street that you're on, you can turn precise location off for particular apps, and that can also help you regain some of your battery life. Tip number 7 is battery analytics. For this one, we're going to go back into our settings panel and directly into the battery section here. The information that's shown on this battery screen is really helpful because it can tell you what apps are using the majority of your battery. If you see here, we're set on the last 24 hours. And if I look down, I can see that TikTok was amongst the most used apps on my phone in the last 24 hours. Everything else is lower. My phone and Facebook and messages are 11%, 10%, which says to me, I may need to use TikTok less for better battery life. If I come up to the top here and change it from last 24 hours to last 10 days, I'm going to get additional information that tells me, well, over the last 10 days, Messages has been the highest used app. I use messages all the time, so there's not a whole lot I can do about that, but that information can really help, especially if the app that you see rising to the top is your home and lock screen or some app that you don't use that often. That can tell you that that app might be running in the background. You might need to turn background app refresh or notifications off. And if it's your home and lock screen, it goes back to turning your auto lock down from never or 5 minutes all the way to 2 minutes or even 30 seconds. By looking at the battery analytics screen, we can learn what's actually causing our battery to drain rather than just randomly quitting apps and crossing our fingers that we get the right one. Tip number 8 is leave your iPhone face down. It seems like a simple tip, but simply taking your iPhone and storing it face down when you're not using it can dramatically affect your battery life. Why? Well, first off, when your phone is face down, the phone knows you're not using it, so it can turn down some of the brightness and some of the other functions. In addition to that, there's a feature called Always On Display that exists on the iPhone 14 and 15, which means even when your phone is asleep, you can still see the screen, you can still see the clock. But when you store your phone face down, it turns that function off, as well as turning off the listening for Siri function. And by having those functions off, it can automatically save you some battery. If you want to turn off the Always On Display manually, you can do that by going to Settings here, scrolling down to our display and brightness setting, and right here you'll see the Always On Display, which you can either customize so it doesn't use as much battery, or turn off altogether so that your phone is always fully dark when you're not using it, which can save battery. Tip number 9 is all about your network settings. Your network is what causes the majority of your battery drain. Whether it's your Wi-Fi, your cellular, or your Bluetooth, any network functionality is going to drain the phone. If you are away from a Wi-Fi zone, you can come in and turn Wi-Fi off by clicking here, and that's going to prevent the phone from searching for a Wi-Fi signal, which can drain your battery. If you've got a lousy cell connection where you are, trying to find a good cell connection can dramatically drain the battery. So you can turn off your cellular data by clicking on that green button right there. Or if you're in a situation where you don't need your network services at all, like sometimes I'm at Disneyland and I'm with my family, I don't want to receive phone calls and text messages, and I don't want to be checking Facebook, you can turn airplane mode on, which will dramatically impact how long your battery lasts. And the last part of our network tip happens by coming into settings here and going into cellular. From here, if you scroll down, you will see all the apps that are allowed to use your cellular data. As you scroll through, you might see apps that you don't need accessing the internet at all times. And you can easily come in and just turn them off at will, so that even if you leave your network settings on, those apps aren't draining the battery. Tip number 10 is called When All Else Fails. Even though quitting apps from your multitasking screen doesn't save you batteries, there could be times when an app in this screen is malfunctioning. Maybe it's frozen, or maybe it's stuck and doing something in the background that can dramatically reduce your battery life. You might see that app show up in the battery analytics. But if you're using your phone and the battery just seems to be dying left and right and you don't have any idea why, come in here and quit everything. Yes, I know I said you shouldn't do that habitually, but on occasion, clearing out the apps that are in here can help you locate that app that's stuck and causing all the battery draining. A little power tip for you, you don't have to quit these one app at a time. If you take 3 fingers, you can actually get 3 apps to quit simultaneously with just a little bit of practice. The when all else fails tip should only be used in extreme circumstances when the battery is draining without any reason. Go ahead, go into the multitasking screen, quit every app that's there, and then restart your phone. Restarting your phone is done by pressing the volume up button, the volume down button, and then pressing and holding the side button until you see the Apple menu. If you're in trouble and your battery is dropping rapidly and you don't know why, that is the fix that will work when all else fails. So those are my top 10 battery saving tips for the iPhone. In just a moment, I'm going to share my MacWhisperer tip that prevents me from ever running out of battery. But before I do, if you got value from this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. If you've got a question or a comment, drop it down below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, take a moment, hit that subscription button and that notify bell so that you're always alerted whenever I drop new content. And with that being said, let's drop into the MacWhisperer power tip. My iPhone is such an important tool to me that I really can't ever be in a situation where I'm completely out of battery. And I've had times where I've needed just that extra boost. One of the best tools that I've found to solve that is a power bank. These power banks come in different sizes and different shapes, and this brand comes in different colors as well. And there are a lot of different power banks out there. Most of them require you to plug your phone in. But what I like about this one is that it's got MagSafe built in, so that when I'm having trouble with my phone, I can literally just connect it right to it and it will immediately start charging the phone. Special bonus, it's got a little kickstand there, which makes it easy to just set it up on your desk so you can watch something while it's charging. And best of all, down at the bottom, it's got an indicator that tells you exactly how much battery you've got left and a USB plug and a USB-C plug so that you can use this power bank to charge almost any device. But it's really custom made for the MagSafe on the iPhone, making it super easy to charge without even using a cord. That's what I've got about saving your battery life on your iPhone. I hope you got some good value out of today's lesson. My name's Dylan Stewart. They call me the MacWhisperer, and it's my passion and profession to help you get more done on your Apple products than you ever thought possible. And I will see you next time.